Greetings, guten Tag, Talo Falava, bonjour, bonjour. This is Dr. Snow Brown speaking to you all, especially the Snow King Club vlog. It is nice to catch up with you on this day. Yes, it's been a while. It's been quite a full-on day, although at the same time, it has also been quite a challenge for me to live here at this address. Moving from flat 11, number 8 floor Recruity Walk in Midtown Upper Hutt, down to flat 3 on the ground level. Flat 3, number 8 floor Recruity Walk in Midtown Upper Hutt. Anyway, I hope you are all having a lovely morning, a lovely afternoon, and a lovely evening. In your humble abodes, and possibly in your local townships, in your countries, wherever you are around the globe. Welcome to today's preaching. Yes, I'm sure that it's been a challenging year last year for a lot of you that are also experiencing very similar sort of hardships, trials, tribulations, that's correct, throughout the so-called pandemic. It's been that way for me here in this location, this gang-infested address, that's correct. I, being a meek and noble, a natural bastard. Now, a lot of you might never catch on and will probably never be part of my Snow King Club flock. Kingdom. Anyway, for those that have been part of my kingdom for the last 6 years, during the pandemic, during your so-called tribulations as well, and hardships, and probably your losses in terms of funeral services that you attended in the last 6 years, and possibly misfortunes and hardships and other challenging situations that you might have had a close call with in the last 6 years. One being cancer. I don't know, thankfully, in the last 6 years, even during my so-called ministry or preaching as a meek natural pastor, one that's quite abrasive and in your face, raw. No, thankfully, I haven't been diagnosed with breast cancer. I've had tested, I have breast cancer screenings in the last 6 years during my so-called ministry and during the pandemic, and I have been lucky, being one of the lucky ones, not to be diagnosed with any breast cancer, although I believe that I might have had cancer developed, but I was able to somehow expunge and eradicate it. That's correct. Now, in terms of, I haven't been diagnosed with cancer in any parts of, in other organs of my body in the last 6 years. So I have Queen Snow Brown, God and Jesus to be grateful and to be thankful, that's correct, that I didn't get diagnosed with cancer in the last 6 years, even during my so-called trialing and challenging preachings. One that's been full on, and I think you can witness and see for yourself what it's been like. Excuse me. The last 6 years with my preachings. You can see from my preachings how my so-called demeanor, that's great, and my mood swings also change. But even my language, how colorful, that's great, how sophisticated I became. Known for my preachings that are bold and abrasive. So, want to let you know right now that if you're one of the lucky ones that has not been diagnosed with cancer, may you stay that way. May you stay that way. May you have the wisdom, the tenacity as well, and also the good fortune, that's correct, and the stamina and endurance to be able not to be ignorant, but also not to accept other people's advices and suggestions and other people's so-called decision makings, recommendations that you know yourself. You're the one who carries the organs around. You're the only one that knows what goes on inside your body and what you put in your body as well. So you would know more about yourself than anybody else. Except a lot of you have got some sort of severe mental disorders, and I mean really severe, that your life is so dysfunctional, fragmented, and broken. It is like holding a crystal ball and then letting it fall on the ground, and it smashes to 1,000,000 pieces and even a gazillion pieces. That's correct. And that is the kind of how toxic but how harmful for some of you who are on the brink or on the verge of suicide. You will be very careful. I think it's very important to take this lesson from me, because I know personally what it's been like living among toxic, harmful, psychotic, psychopaths, maniac people. That's correct. You need to listen. You need to have very good hearing. But it's not so much the hearing. You can hear, all right? You can listen to anything, music, whether it be music or some famous inspirational, speech, or some sermon, or some sort of, interesting, inspirational, or even a movie and stuff like that. But the kind of listening I'm talking about is the kind that is internal and so deep like the well, deep like a well that is full of water, not a well that's so dry up that you've got to dig deeper, that you've got to go down and down and down, right down at the bottom of the well to see if there's any water there. So the kind of hearing and listening abilities that you need to adopt and adapt, but more so you need to exercise, is this the hearing, listening internally, whether it be internally to your what's going on in your brain in terms of your thought and your conscience, but also what you're feeling inside, in your heart condition, in your spirit, in your soul, and even deeper than that. That's correct. We have got to learn to listen to your body, to your spirit, and also listen to who? As a reborn Christian, remember, I'm a reborn natural noble pastor. I'm a reborn pastor. That's me. Right. I don't pretend to be a natural noble pastor. I just am a natural noble pastor. I don't pretend to be something, to be somebody, when I've got a flock that I have been shepherding to and also pastoring, administering to on the level of a natural noble pastor that's ordained naturally in the last 6 years. You see how in the last 6 years, despite all the harmful acts of violence that has been going on inside this address, in terms of inducing, excruciating pains via drugging and poisoning, and also terrorizing and making it very uncomfortable and grieving me via the unlawful entries and trespassings and home invasions, that's correct, where somebody is actually listening to your private conversations, where there is no privacy, no security, no even protections, where the police are not arresting the culprits, the perpetrators, the intruders, the trespassers. Despite all of that that's been going on, I haven't had any surgeries. I haven't had any neurological surgeries. And even when I was run down by a forklift operator of the New Zealand Couriers Depot down in Petone, I still didn't have any surgeries. And I still didn't need to be on the operation table. I am that lucky. I am not unlucky. Like a lot of you, that's great. Despite I live in a toxic environment, in a harmful address, but I was that lucky, that blessed, that the guardian angels of Archangel were able to protect me. That the gods, that's correct. That because I had the favor of the gods over me, and even consecrated and sanctified and rooted inside my spirit and my soul, I was able to survive the most heinous atrocities, despite the fact that I never needed surgeries. I had a fall down on the ground level here a couple of years back. This was before 2018, before the 11th of January 2018, when my private ministry was registered and incorporated with the Registry Company of New Zealand. I had a fall because the dump asses that were inside this address had a pool of water down there on the ground level near the stairway. That's correct. I, of course, came from upstairs, 2 stories upstairs, rushing down, that's correct, and I was heading down to the courtyard, and I didn't even see the pool of water. That's correct. And next thing you know, oops, I slipped, but it was like I really hammered the hard cement floor. That's correct. And I mean, I smacked I got really smacked onto the ground level, that for 2 hours I waited for the ambulance to arrive. Can you imagine waiting for 2 hours? Can you understand what I'm talking about? Is that systemic racism and prejudice? Or is that apathy, where they're saying, we don't give an F. She'll just have to lie there and wait for us when we're ready to turn up to deal with her. But I mean, that floor was cold. Can you imagine lying there? I mean, thankfully there were children there talking to me, that's correct, and keeping me, awake and alert. But I tell you what, I couldn't get up. That's correct. But it was stupid and it was dangerous and unsafe for the children to be running around, and wetting the floor down there. Because I didn't anticipate that I was going to just smack that floor clean the hard floor, that's correct, with my massive body. So for 2 hours I lay there, uncertain as to what's going to happen. I said to myself, oh my God, I hope I haven't broken any bones. I hope I'm not going to need to be on the operating table. Oh God, now I think I'll be on the crutches forever. That's correct. Oh no, I hope they're not going to amputate something on my body. I hope I'm still going to be able to get up and be mobile and continue on moving about. That's correct. Is what I was. Did I cry? No, I did not cry. There was no tears. There was a lot of discomfort, but I kept calm and quiet. So I think that's what helped me also to get relief and alleviation, but not also to worry. So there was no anxiety. I didn't have a panic anxiety. Didn't have an anxiety attack where I suddenly, oh my gosh, I think I'm dying. That's correct. I don't think I'll ever be able to walk. I didn't even worry about any of that. I just kept calm and quiet and cool as a cucumber. And patiently waited. I mean, they sure made you wait 2 hours, eh? That's correct. Well, it's the longest wait I've ever had to wait. That's correct. Except there was another time. That's correct. So, yes, they did come, the ambulance, the paramedics. They eventually got me up onto some sort of stretcher and took me into the ambulance. But I mean, it meant that I had to be on crutches, like I said. And of course I was limping. Thankfully, my biological mum was there. That's correct. The only family. My family. That's correct. Well, now, I think she's now in Aussie. Somewhere in Perth. I don't have in fact, I've disowned myself, basically. Not only from my extended family in terms of my dad's side of the family, but also my mother's side of the family, the Batu side and the Trevorana side. So I'm a brown. I'm actually a brown. A full royal, that's great. That is meek. And I have a monarch. Let's call it baby brown monarch. They know that. So, limping up. I think it took about 2 or 3 weeks to recover from that fall, massive fall. But I mean, I soon learned never to walk, rush down the stairwell, but always to be wary and check the ground that you're walking on to see if there might be a pool of water or something slippery. I'm very, very careful, very careful. In fact, I'm not even an accident-prone person. That forklift running of me, that's great, on the 11th of August 2023 last year, it's the first time that ever happened to me. That's great. But I mean, it was quite deliberate. Now I'm going to talk about my packages. The majority of my packages that I've been ordering from Temu that have come into your country, and I'm talking about New Zealand. Where's in Aotearoa, New Zealand? I'm starting to see a lot of the flags, the Māori flag, the Aotearoa flag. And I don't have an issue with it because after all, this country is pa Māori, pa Pākehā. That's correct. I don't have an issue with it. They're proud of their so-called identity, their sovereignty, that's correct. But, I mean, I've never seen that many flags, the Māori flag, that's correct. The Aotearoa flag, I wonder why. Is it because of my logo? Is it because of my preachings? I think it's because of my logo, that's correct. That I'm suddenly now starting to see a lot of the Aotearoa flags being flown. I mean, hey, well, good for you. Good on you. But like I said, I have learned to understand these toxic, dangerous people here, not only in this address, but outside this address, in this local township, and even in this country. That's correct. In fact, I have cut myself off from the people of Aotearoa, and even from the people of New Zealand, that's correct, who are part of the Apartheid Treaty Partnership. I have cut myself. It has been that way in the last 28 years, that's correct. There must be a reason why I never got involved with any Maori functions or ever attended any, that's correct. I think living in this address has taught me a lot about the people of Aotearoa. In terms of their so-called, the harmful side, the dangerous, notoriously harmful mindset, that's correct, the psychotic mindset, the psychopath mindset. Now, I'm not trying to poison anybody in this country, in Aotearoa, New Zealand, or even in New Zealand. It's not my job to poison people, let alone brainwash people in this country, that's correct. My job as a meek natural pastor, and even as a reborn type, with a new type of flock. I'm a new clergyman, that's correct, with a new flock. And it's a special flock. I think you can all see how special the flock is because of the people inside my kingdom. Majority of them are Christians and are on their way to becoming reborns, or have already converted themselves to being reborn, that's correct. But like I said, if I'm fluttering from one subject to another, don't be surprised. Because I'm a meek noble, and that's how I operate, and that's how I know myself. That's correct. That's how I speak. Amen. Now, am I an islander? Well, I beg to differ. A lot of you would presume that to be the case because I look indigenous, that's correct. I could easily pass as a Māori. I could easily pass as a Tongan. I could easily pass as another race, which might be South African, or even, another type of indigenous. That's correct. But internally, I don't feel that way. I am not an islander. I am not a coconut, despite I am part Samoan. That's correct. In my DNA, but internally, the dialogue that's going on inside my head, and even the dialogue that's going between myself, my guardian angel, Archangel, and God's Holy Spirit, is so unique. It is so unique. Oh, you guys have no idea what it's like to be a meek natural pastor. You got to wear my crown. You got to be in my skin. You got to walk in my shoes. Then, of course, you got to learn to, be immune to sharing cold water. To get the full rundown, to really understand what it means to be a natural pastor. Then on top of that, you have got to understand how the Germans think. That's correct. You have got to understand what it means to be a full Pākehā, a full European, or a full royal. Then you got to adopt my attitude, my way of thinking, my way of doing things. But thankfully, I do things the right way, not the wrong way. Not the, just sort of back to front, side to side. That's great. No. I try to do things the right way in Aotearoa, New Zealand, or in New Zealand. But the problem is your country is so full of tyranny and full of harmful protocols in the form of the apartheid treaty partnership that you're in. And even your politics are so terrible, are so harmful. That's correct. There is no way for me to exist in this country if the attitude of the people of Aotearoa and the people of New Zealand is we'll only accept our way. It's either our way or the highway, or none at all. Well, we want you to leave our country. We want you to get on a plane and get the hell out of our country. It is about the attitude. That's correct. Because they're wanting me to respect their Māori way of doing things. The people of Aotearoa way of doing things. The treaty partnership. You want to be respected for everything that you do and say. But you don't want to earn it. You don't want to make a sacrifice to get that blessing, to earn the blessing the right way, like the way that I've earned my blessings, the long way and the hard way, and even the incredible way. That's great, which is the supernatural, godly way. That's great. You don't want to make a sacrifice. You see, the way that the people have been taught in this country, the apartheid treaty partnership that's been going on the last over 180 years, you don't ever want to make a sacrifice. You want to be respected. You always want to be given the attention. That's great. And the first preference besides everybody else in this country. And you always want more money than anybody else in this country, especially up against foreigners and even up against full royals like me, nobles like me. You always want to be number one. Well, I tell you right now, in order to fill that spot, you got to do things the right way. But you got to learn to make sacrifices. And I mean, it could come in the form of you need to shout, you need to be immune to sharing cold water. You need to respect other people's religious beliefs. That's correct. You need to stop taking advantage of people. You need to stop dictating, applying your arbitrary dictatorships to teach other people that are non-Christians, and especially Christians, lessons they don't need to learn, they don't need to know, and they don't need to accept. Amen? Amen. So if you think I'm going to respect you, your treaty of partnership, you already know the full rundown, what I'm about. You know what my Snowcan Club's like. This is not a new criminal organization. This isn't, my kingdom wasn't created to satisfy the apartheid treaty partnership that's going on in this country. That's correct. That has wreaked havoc and has given me more curses in the form of atrocities and other types of harmful, protocols and harmful dictatorships than anything, than a blessing. That's correct. So I hope you understand that when I leave your country, that you're going to respect me as a meek natural master. You're going to respect me. You're going to leave me alone. You're going to stop your so-called compulsive obsession to stalk me, to stalk the fuck out of me. I hope so, because your people are so sick. And I mean so sick that if I have to look at the pictures of my packages, of orders from Temu or some other company overseas, that's correct, that I purchase. You know what I see? I see erotomania written all over it, and even pedophilia. The sickness of erotomania, criminal stalkings, heinous criminal stalkings, heinous unreasonable searches and seizures, and monitoring, screening on my private properties in the form of packages. That's correct. I see that your people have become so sick mentally. You're addicted to eavesdropping into people's private conversations. You're addicted and wanting to know about other people's businesses in private. That's great. You're addicted to erotomania. You want to enter people's homes and harm them. That's great. And even learn and study about them. But why are you doing that? I don't see anywhere in the treaty does it say that you ought to do that. That's correct. Opening people's packages is considered to be criminal. It's a criminal behavior. Are you going to say that because you've got some sort of elite privileges from the Māori elites or some other elites, that it's okay for you to open people's packages, to be nosy, and even to try and forfeit, remove their other items and confuse the fuck out of them by wreaking havoc? I mean, you're tampering with people's private properties that they had paid for. It doesn't matter if it was paid with benefit money or money that the government gave me. At least they're doing good. They're helping themselves. They're doing something productive and constructive with their lives. They're not going around and entering people's homes and being nosy. That's correct. Like what your people are doing with your treaty partnership. So how do you expect me to respect you if I gotta look around and all I see is disrespect from both parties? That's correct. You got the cheek and the nerve. You think you can just remove, I'm thinking about even the umbrella. That's great. There are 8 items that says it was supposed to be in that package from Temu. I got to open the package. That's correct. But it looks like it was already opened by the New Zealand courier. That's correct. Which might be the one there in Petone. They had already opened it, tampered with it. And it looks like they may have actually removed the umbrella. So one of the items out of the 8 items of the package. And decided to confuse you. Pretend as though, Temu never actually packed the umbrella inside this package. That's correct. It came that way. No. I'm afraid somebody, one of the courier companies or somebody, that's correct, because that package never went to the customs like it always goes to New Zealand customs for the custom clearance. This time, it went straight to the New Zealand depot. That's correct. Courier depot. Or wherever it was. And what they had done was they had taken the umbrella out. Which was, that means the package only has 7 items. But what they did, this is only what I'm presuming might have happened because I rung them up and there was no way for them to figure out whether that item was already in it or it was missing or it was removed and put in a different courier package. That's correct. So here's what I think might have happened. A couple of weeks ago, I knew exactly the number of packages waiting for me there at the local store. It's well known here, and that is the Wheeler store. That's correct. Except, of course, you got to pay $5 because they only have an agreement with Post Haste. In other words, they get paid that there. That's correct. So if you're going to go and remember, they're using the company as a storage. That's correct. Or let's just say the clients are using it that way. So I don't mind. I'm grateful that my packages are redirected there. That's great. I see it there. And I pay it the $5, which is a fee. That's great. And I pick up the package. So when I did go a couple of weeks ago to pick up the package, I know that there was probably 4 or 5 packages waiting for me to be picked up. So when I went to pick them up, I could only afford to pay for 4 packages. The other one, I just decided with Day Wheeler, I'll come back next week and pay for it. Now the other package was just like a single item. That's correct. And was small in size. So I then presumed, you know what, that must be the umbrella, because when I got home to open up the package that is supposed to have 8 items in it, meaning with the umbrella was missing. So I thought myself, oh my God, how is it that a package that's right, that said that it's got 8 items and yet there is an item missing? I thought, oh, it is even worse. That's correct. Than the other packages that I've opened. Even, a pair of earrings was missing. Twice it happened to me. That's correct. And I had to reorder the same product. Now this time it was an umbrella, but it was a really good umbrella. It was about $19 something. But that's not including the discount. That's correct. Or that before it's discounted. But what I'm saying is that's not the point. It's the principle. It's the principle. I don't expect commoners, but even criminals from criminal organizations, or even connected to criminals inside this building, to be opening up my packages, seizing my packages there at the so-called relevant courier company and opening them up, seizing them and searching them. That's correct. Why are you doing that, people of Aotearoa and New Zealand? Why do you even need to go there? That's correct. We don't have an agreement. I don't have any agreement with any Māori elites or any elites whatsoever. In fact, I'm not even part of the elites. That's correct. I don't fuck any elites. In fact, I don't fuck nobody. That's correct. Right. Now, is that a problem? Yes, that would be a problem for these criminals inside this building, because they are about having sex. And I mean sex galore. Sex every day. Sex possibly every minute, every second. That's correct. They are about having sex with all sorts of people, whether it be the elites, the police intelligence unit, my evil rallies, their associates, their members. But then there's over 70 other criminal organizations, so they would have sex with them as well. Right? But I got nothing. I didn't come here for sex. That's correct. I came here for tenancy. Nor did I order my packages so that they can tamper with and play around with it. So I have already asked for a refund. That's correct. From Temple. So they're going to verify their packing records, to track whether that item was packed in the package that was sent to me, or was they forgot to pack it. Temple never forgets to pack. If you pay for something, even via Afterpay or some other form, man, they're not going to forget to pack that item in. That's correct. Because somebody in New Zealand is so jello marshmallow. I'd hate to think that Gayleen might have had sex, say, with Adele's partner, or even one of the brothers, the Wheeler brothers. Day Wheeler, that's correct, or even Mark Wheeler. To apply these criminals' harmful protocols, where then one of them, or even Gayleen, could go to the store and say, you know what, where's that package? She's coming to pick it up. She's not going to pick it up because we're going to deny it from her. Give us now. That's correct. And then they will be able to persuade that particular store and that family. And of course, and if they pay them money or have sex with them, because that is what they're about, the criminal organization. Next thing you know, the package is being handed over. Can you imagine what that's like? For a full royal? One that is meek, and one that never ever goes and targets other people to be nosy about their private affairs, let alone what they get up to or what they are doing. I do not need to invade somebody's privacy, let alone enter their private, humble abodes, private abodes. Can you understand now why you're all banned from entering my kingdom? That's correct. My kingdom wasn't created for a criminal organization to apply their arbitrary dictatorships, or even for the people of Aotearoa to apply their so-called harmful treaty protocols. That's not what my kingdom was created for. My kingdom wasn't created to promote the people of Aotearoa's interests and the people of Aotearoa's so-called, language, or even the Pacific people. That's not what my kingdom, my holy altar, is a Knights Templar's holy altar. It is not used by commoners. It is not for the commoners and the criminals in your country. That's correct. But what you people have done is you've misused it and you've abused my holy altar. As you can see, I'm wearing pink. Yeah. I'm feeling mighty powerful right now. You can't handle my preachings? It's because a lot of you are just commoners and criminals. That's correct. You're harmful? You're harmful. Yeah, do I need to apologize to Mr. Mountaintop? Mr. Snowman? No, there's no need. I think it's self-explanatory. That's correct. That at the moment, Mr. Snowman, the guardian angel is saying, no, take it out, his videos. That's correct. Take it out. Because I think they're using now the criminals, and I'm talking about the KKK and the MMB inside this address and this criminal organization. They're using Mr. Snowman, Mr. Haviland, that's correct, Mr. Tom Haviland, to try and dictate and hijack my so-called, pastoring, ministering, and preaching in my own kingdom. Hey, I own the kingdom. You don't own, your government doesn't own my kingdom. That's correct. The people of Aotearoa, New Zealand, man, you people don't own a private monarch. That's correct. It is owned by a meek full royal. You don't own it. You're just a guest and a visitor. That's correct. But you don't try and hijack it so that you can feel as though you're suddenly the owner above the original owner. That's correct. That's just dictatorships, but satanic and demonic. I don't expect Mr. Tom Haviland, that's great, and Mr. Haviland and his family and even his friends to suddenly come inside my kingdom and hijack and start applying the criminals inside this address, dictatorships, or any treaty people so-called protocols. That's not what my kingdom is for. Nor was it created for. That's correct. Knights Templar know what I'm doing. They get it. As stupid people that are non-Christians, that's correct, and are harmful and evil, don't get it. They don't get it. That's correct. You don't get it because you're not a reborn Christian. You're not a Christian. You're not a liberal German like me. That's correct. You wouldn't understand what I'm talking about, let alone what the pastors are ministering about. Don't come into somebody's kingdom and think it's your right to do what you want to do. You got your own YouTube channels. You got your own social media platform, private accounts that you can go and do what you like. That's correct. But don't you dare come in my kingdom and bring and filter your rubbish. That's correct. Don't expect me to speak your language either. I've never been part of your culture, and I don't want to be part of your culture. I'll be honest. As a meek natural master, a full royal, it's too dangerous. We will never have anything to do with the people of Aotearoa, let alone the people of New Zealand. That's correct. If you're going to continue on harming me by opening my packages and stealing my property that I had paid for, no, it's the principle. Whether if it's not raining outside, or whether we don't get that much rain, we haven't had much during the summer, is irrelevant. It's the principle. Thou shalt not steal. That's correct. Thou shalt not, that's correct. Commit adultery. So what would happen if say, they had sex with the Wheeler store? Yeah, with the staff of the Wheeler, in order for them to hand over the package that had the one umbrella in. Well, then they would owe me a refund. That's correct. Because if they lie, whoa. Yeah, stop right there. Lie. But the wheelers never lie. Yeah, but think of it this way. People do lie in New Zealand, in Aotearoa, New Zealand, if they apply arbitrary dictatorships and apply the apartheid treaty harmful protocols. Yes, people do lie. So they'll lie straight up in your face. That's great. And they don't care. It's called apathy. And it's also called stupidity and jealousy and spitefulness and deviousness and ungodliness. That's correct. So Mr. Haviland or Mr. Snowman, if you take offense at the fact that not this again, that's great. That the guy in the entrance had to chuck your videos out, that's correct, and kick you and boot you out, that's correct, of the kingdom, it's because there must be a good reason for it. If you're coming in for the wrong reasons, if you're coming in on behalf of the Maori elites, the people of Aotearoa and their protocols, and even to please the so-called treaty partnership in this country, and to please the criminal organizations like the KKK, because remember, you're Pākehās, that's correct. You're full Pākehās. Yeah, and then that means, you'll always be nice to the KKK. Except they do not belong inside my private kingdom. It's a private monarch, people. You know that. And you don't have a right to dictate to me inside in my own kingdom. Don't you dare point at my sickness. Can you understand that I make more sense than any of you? That's why the people that are part of my kingdom will never ever accept the authority of the government of New Zealand, of the police department of New Zealand, any of the officials, even working income. They will never accept any of your authority in this country if you are all having sex outside the marriage arrangement and if you are all applying criminal protocols, because there's over 70 of them. Right. Nobody in my kingdom, not even the pastors, not even the clergymen over there in America, will accept any of you, especially the people of Aotearoa, that are trying to steal my holy altar. You trying to steal? You trying to copy and duplicate, counterfeit it? You like my holy altar? Yeah, but why do you like my holy altar? Is it because you love Jesus? You love God? You love Queen Snow Brown? Or is it because you want to be powerful? You want to make your people more powerful than anybody else? You want more respect, more money, more prestige, more of sex? That way you can have sex with any Pākehās and overrule the rest of, and overrule anybody's authority in this country. My God, be careful for what you wish for. Be very careful. I might not have received any donations from any of you, but I sure as hell don't give an F, that's correct. If you are all sick with pedophilia and erotomania, I wouldn't want to knight any of you. If you got those sicknesses, that's great, those serious mental disorders. And I certainly would be glad to go to another country and never ever have to attend any of your functions, that's great. To eat any of your nice food and all those people, stuff that o singa e kangaka, that's great. E oakua I lako functions, and then next thing you know, they're only wanting to have sex with them. Hey, let's say this to all of you. The people of Aotearoa, New Zealand, you're part of the Apartheid Treaty Partnership. But the people that are part of the criminal organizations, you don't need to enter my kingdom to apply any of your criminal dictatorships. And even any other type of dictatorship, whether it comes from the Māori elites, other elites of your government, or the police intelligence unit, or the police commissioner, or some other official in the system, or even the corrections department and the prison department, you do not need to enter the kingdom for that purpose. Because if you're coming in to target my snow sheep, snow shepherds, to target the people that are in the videos because you wanting sex from them, man, you're in the wrong kingdom. You better get the hell out and get the F out. That's correct. You don't even, that's not what the kingdom's for. You're coming to target people because you want sex from them. But God, those people are reborn, that's great. Those people are not interested in having sex with any of you. Can you imagine being touched inappropriately every day But you're wanting to touch people like that, and those people are not interested in being touched by anybody that is sick with erotomania, sick with pedophilia, sick with zoophilia, sick with erotomania. That's correct. They don't need your attentions. That's correct. I don't know about the military forces in this country. Maybe they have sex galore with the criminals in this country. Maybe that's one of your protocols, your treaty partnership protocols. But it certainly is not any protocols that did anything to do with my kingdom. I got nothing to do with the elites. That's correct. I'm a meek natural. I'm a private individual who owns a private monarch and a private company. But you dare come in to try and hijack it. That's correct. And try to teach me your lesson because I won't do things your way. But you're in the fucking wrong kingdom. That's correct. My kingdom ain't for sex. I'm not there to provide sex for all of you. That's correct. There's something that an individual, I tell you right, be honest. The only person that normal Christians would satisfy is the spouse that they marry. That's correct. Their husband or their wives, or the ones that are in their committed relationship, they're the only ones that ought to be satisfied. If you say that I'm obligated to satisfy the whole organization, the criminal organization, and the rest of the Maori elites, and the rest of your community, you people deserve the death penalty. You people can get a life. That's correct. How disgusting. Can you imagine like having 100,000 tongues? They want to taste your body? That's correct. They want to target you for that? There's only one person that should be eating your pussy out. That's correct. Or even licking your asshole. That's correct. And that is your husband or your wife or who is legally married and wedded to you. That's correct. Can you imagine having a bunch of strangers and a bunch of lawyers and police officers and all these people wanting to have sex? Man, what a waste of energy. But what a waste. That's correct. I mean, it should be hee-haw only with the one that you're in love with. That's great. Or the one that is supposedly your lifelong partner. That's great. No, hee-haw with the whole township, the whole village. That's great. That kind of thing. Like, what I'm seeing is, you got backyard women? I'll give it to you, to the military man. If a military man, made me, or not made me, but gave me a parcel to pay on his behalf, and yet he wouldn't pay for it. And he was married. And I didn't know that. What do you suppose is going to happen to the package? I throw it straight into the fire. That's correct. There's going to be a huge massive domestic. That's correct. If that, get on your fucking car. That's correct. Get out of here. Hurry up. That's correct. You're fucking married, take it. What the fuck are you doing? Who do you think you are? I'm a natural bastard. That's great. I ain't no whore. Not to a married man. Not to a single man. Not to any man. That's correct. You people are so fucking thick. You think it's okay to have sex outside of marriage? Have sex with somebody else's husband and wife? And you think that's okay to behave that way? And not expect that something could go wrong? But it always does and you end up dead? That's correct. Well, here's Mr. Haviland. Mr. Haviland, I think the only time it's going to be safe for your videos again to re-enter my kingdom is when I file a restraining order and the asylum application, and when I'm finally, out of this country and into another country, which I'm hoping Germany. That's great. They actually understand me. That's great. They know me better, and I mean they understand. No, they don't listen to my private conversations. They don't open my packages. They do not annoy and grieve me, the Holy Spirit, grieve my angels, and grieve my Holy Ghost family, and even grieve me. They do not do any of the sort. They do not need to be nosy either and trespass and come inside my home. That's great. The Germans. They know who they are, but they don't know who these people are. That's great. And they don't have no idea what they're capable of. Right. As I said, I'm the lucky one. I'm the one that's lucky. Now, of course, if I'm not lucky because I don't get any donations, don't you worry. The moment I leave your country, the moment I go to another country and run my ministry, I'm going to be the richest half-caste, Pākehā, or they say full royal, that you've ever known on this planet. I'm going to be filthy rich. That's correct. And it's only because I got a right to be successful. I got a right to earn a livelihood. That's correct. Having a mental disorder, and I think even Sir John Kerwin would understand what I'm talking about. That just because somebody has a mental illness or is on the sickness benefit does not mean that they don't have a right to earn millions and billions and to make money. That's correct. There's no such thing. That's correct. In fact, there are in other countries, there are people with mental illness. I mean, look, take a look at Sir John Kerwin. That's great. Do you think that his depression, his mental illness, stopped him from making money, let alone earning a livelihood, earning a living the right way? That's correct. No. That's correct. And that's not even the reason why the New Zealand will suddenly open his packages. That's great. And teach him a lesson. That's great all the time for everything that he says wrong. And yet, it's the right thing. He's saying the right thing. I'm saying the right thing. That's correct. I know who I am and I know what I'm doing. That's correct. Don't you punish me for it. Don't you dare say that I've got no right to say what I'm saying. Because I'm the one who's the ordained natural pastor. I ain't the crazy one. You people are fucking crazy for opening my packages. For stalking me inside my so-called social media platform in my own kingdom. That's correct. And trying to hijack me. You people are crazy. You're trying to dig my grave every time. You want to dig my grave? And yet, in the last 6 years, you haven't succeeded in putting me on the operating table. Yahoo? Yeah. Yavo. You haven't been able to, have you? Despite all your deviousness and despicableness. That's right. I'm still here with the same attitude and same mentality. And I am leaving your country eventually. Like I said, for people whose videos are not in show inside my kingdom at the moment, wait until I go to another country. Wait until I've held my restraining order and I've taken the necessary steps to protect my Snow King Club flock, my little flock. That's great. Okay, you are not part of my flock. You're not part of my clan. That's great. The same for any criminals and even those that are in prison. That's great. This is a private monarch and it's a reborn kingdom. If you don't understand, if you don't respect my authority, and you don't understand me, that's great. You do not need to be part of my kingdom. And I would, urge you, to take the necessary steps now. There's the door. Get on out and say goodbye. I don't need your kingdom. I don't need anything that's inside it. I know how to fix myself. In fact, I got all the answers. If you're Mr. Superiority and Mrs. Superiority, you don't need to be part of my kingdom. That's correct. If you're coming in for the wrong reasons because you are sexually attracted to the people inside the kingdom, and you're hoping that one day you're going to fly into their beds, you're going to hop into their beds, my kingdom is not for fantasizing, not for people on that level. Realistically, you need to help yourself, that's correct. But the way to help yourself, take the necessary steps to sort your life out and bury your enemies. And then just maybe one day you'll be able to rejoin my kingdom. That's correct. But as of now, that's a private monarch. You got to respect it's a private monarch. Your government doesn't own it. Don't try and try to convert it to your treaty partnership. Don't do that, please. You can only contaminate it. That's great. But you can only bring war to your country and your people. That's correct. Stop it. I'd already given you ample warnings by the trespass notices. You still don't get it? It still hasn't sunk in? Das ist nicht mein Problem. Das ist nicht mein Problem. Das ist nicht mein Problem. Jawohl. Vielen Dank. Auf Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.